Jazakallah khair everyone for coming, and I will thank you all in advance for doing these next 2 hours inshallah. So Caitlin asked me to do a workshop training on assertiveness or confidence, and it's a really interesting thing to cover because you were thinking, how does that relate to our work in FLA? It's a bit of an odd thing to be doing. But just before we get into that, what to expect today, inshallah, 2 hours. 2 hours is not a huge amount of time, in fact it's nothing, but we'll do the best that we can in 2 hours. We'll have individual group exercises. Well, there's an odd number, so we're going to figure out how to manage that. We'll have 1 10-minute break inshallah, so we can get cups of tea or whatever we need. And the purpose of this is actually also a form of team building to get to know each other. Half the team is not here, so if you're listening to me on the dictaphone, next time inshallah when we come together, this is the purpose of these trainings. It is to get to know each other, is to break down some barriers, it is to start working together more effectively as a group, as staff members, as colleagues that are here to do the same job in essence. Why? Well, firstly, like I said before, this is a paid job. You come to FLA with a particular skill set, which is to teach children. Part of the teaching, part of the interaction with parents, with staff, with your colleagues, is knowing how to be assertive and what that actually means. Recognizing our own flaws. How do we work on that? How do we pick up on where I'm not so strong? So this is the very first reason, and probably the most important reason why we need this. We're working alongside each other. It's actually a very difficult thing to do. Even we're all Muslim, alhamdulillah, we have, we're able to give and take nasiha and do muhasibah and all of this, but it's still not easy because we're all insan, right? We're all insan, we still have the waswasa to deal with. These things impact us on a daily basis. Whether you want to acknowledge it or not is there. We see each other every day for 2 hours. We see each other, some of us, on these training days. So we need to learn how it is that assertiveness helps us to do our job, to be nice, and to get the job done without being pushed over. Yeah? And part of the teaching is really important also because what I found with children, I am the first one who puts up my hand and says, I don't like young children. I have 3, I love my children, but I don't like working with children. It's not my area of skill, it's not my area of expertise. But the one thing that I have learned is the minute the children know that you are assertive, not aggressive, they will not they can't push your buttons. They won't. They're actually unable to do that because you are at that point in control of every single child and what they are doing. Yeah? And it's a general life skill. So we'll be looking at some things that also maybe impact our personal lives. So this will also help you, just in general, our day-to-day with our families, our husbands, etc., etc. Like I said, it's 2 hours, so really, it's not even taking a little bit off the iceberg, but we're going to start a conversation and we'll see where we go. If you feel like you need to end at one bit because that's where we've kind of become saturated and we just take that point and engage in it a bit more, we'll do that. If you feel like we need to go on more, you can also do that, inshallah. This is the interesting part. Figure out where do I sit on the spectrum of assertiveness. There's a little questionnaire. All I want you to do is, there's these scores here, 1 to 4. Put a number next to each statement and then add it up and tell me what number you get. And it's like, I'm not going to take them back, to be as honest as we possibly can. So 1 if you feel very uncomfortable in that situation. 2, if you feel a little bit uncomfortable. 3, if you feel quite comfortable, so reasonably comfortable. 4, if you feel very comfortable, yeah?
It depends, it depends on the situation. It depends if that person is just arguing for the sake of it, then I won't bother because there's no point. But if there's substance in it and there's something going on, do you know what I mean? So,
yeah. So these are actually really interesting results. So the benchmark here is this number, okay, 60. If you're near 60, you're pretty assertive. If you're nearer to 80, according to this, so let's just say assertive, would be aggressive. And according to this, this would be passive. Okay? So, now, I mean, it's a very controlled questionnaire. So obviously, we're human beings, so we tend to go between these three. Sometimes we're passive, sometimes we're... But in general, you could quite comfortably say that you're able to assert yourself. You're able to think for yourself and not allow someone to think for you. You may be able to really push your agenda, which is also fine. Some people may find you aggressive, some people may find you assertive.
How much did you get?
Huh?
How much did you get?
I haven't actually done the questionnaire. But yeah, it would be interesting to see where if I'm to guess, I think I'd sit a little bit over 60. So I'm between the assertive. Sometimes I can be passively aggressive. I know that about myself. I try not to be aggressive. I don't think I'm like a full-on raging, shouting monster. But when I want to make a stand, I can be quite passive aggressive. I know that. So no, inshallah. So the first thing is, why am I starting with body language? Because with children, specifically in FLA, your body language says everything. Not just children, staff. Now we have Caitlin here, who's all of our boss. Okay, so we have a not superior. We're in a way we're subordinates. Right? We answer to Caitlin. Caitlin has a responsibility. She's in charge of us. So there's also that dynamic that exists. So we're not just looking at how we are with children. We're looking at how you are with staff, how staff are with you, and how we also come off to parents. Because you will find parents who will be on all those spectres, yeah? You'll find parents that are very aggressive. How do you deal with that? You find parents that are very passive. How do you deal with that? These are all issues that actually affect our day-to-day headaches, issues, balance. Do we, are we struggling with a specific issue in class and we can't get past that because parents are being difficult, or because another member of staff is being difficult with you? So we're going to go into this a little bit more, because what I want to actually do is explore the reality of what's happening in our classrooms. But, so just to give you a few tips, and recognize yourself in these, okay? Recognize yourself in these. So if you're showing confidence generally, you're able to stand straight and look at a person when you're talking to them. There's none of this, and you'll find a lot of people start twitching, and people that stand like this are often very defensive. But you can tell. Generally, people that are quite open and engaging, they will use hands, their arms will be open, they will look at you, they will do quite confidence.
They will just talk about when you take public speaking courses and things like that.
Yes.
Like, there are people who might do that. I do that very often, and I'm very mindful of it. And because I know that the moment I do that or this, it comes like other people would see me as aggressive. Like I want to push my agenda. I mean, so I try not to do that. Rather hold something. It's neutral.
So the good news is, generally, in interactions that are a one-off, you can get away with minor things. You can't get away with major things. So if you're interacting with your staff constantly, and we're always talking to them like this, okay, it's a very aggressive way, and people will perceive it like that. Or if you're always like, if you don't want to, okay, so your posture, the tone of your voice is also really important. You're able to be relaxed, even in a business-like manner. Relaxed. You're not, tense and all of this. You keep eye contact with people when you're having a conversation. I struggle with that sometimes. If someone I don't know, I don't like looking in their eyes. I find something else to do because it's it's also a cultural thing.
Yeah. With kids, you can't keep your eyes on them.
You take the initiative to greet people. So you don't wait for someone to come to you. You go to them and say Assalamu alaikum. Okay, so you are setting yourself up in terms of this is who I am. You're confident. You're engaging. The person already knows. The minute you meet someone like that, you already know that they are able, they're capable, they have something to give because they're putting themselves out there. Yeah.
Sorry, is this what we're like in FLA or general?
So think about FLA, and then general after that.
Normal life reflects in FLA,
Yes.
I think
you are who you are and you're working
I'm different in the FLA than I am because I know I have a class, I know I'm the head of that. Yeah, I'm very straight to the point. If I need to speak to parents, I won't stand like this, I will be, like...
So this is probably where your tendency to be a bit more assertive comes into it, okay? Some people at work tend to be wallflowers. Some people at work tend to be more assertive because they understand the dynamic that's happening there. There's many teachers here who I've been observing who are not assertive, and that's what is important. Some of those people are not here today, so this is a bit of a shame. How we engage. Now, in terms of this next one, this is important. You're not afraid to sit next to the most powerful person in the room. What does that mean? It means you're not afraid to ally yourselves with people that are able to lift you up. Okay, in this sense, powerful, that doesn't mean they're in control and they can give you something. It means these people are able to lift you up and give you something that you need, that you require. And you're not afraid of that because you need that. I need to know how to be more empathetic to children. So who do I speak to? I'll speak to this kid or the teacher, help me out here. So power in the sense of like for Quran, Khala mashallah, she's got a trump card over all of us. If I want to know how to engage in Quran teach children, I'll go to Khala. I'll ally myself with her. So that's assertiveness in terms of where do we see opportunities. So people that are able to give you something, they're opportunities. They're not a challenge. You don't wait for permission to speak up. By this I don't mean I'm here training you now, just shout. No, that's not acceptable. What I mean by that is, if something is bothering you, you're able to go speak to the person directly and say, hold on a minute, can we have this conversation please? Because it's important and we need to move forward. You're organized. You carry your materials in an organized manner, and you're not afraid to let everyone know this is how it's going to be. There's confidence. I know my stuff is here, okay? And you dress appropriately. You come to work dressed like a scruff. It's not appropriate. It's not acceptable. Go home and look decent. This is the sunnah. Prophet never looked like a mess. You don't look expensive clothes. He looked decent. He looked presentable, always looking clean and tidy. Don't come here without a shower. These are basic hygiene. Basic, like stuff to fix with onion rings and then say, this is not good. It's not good. Yeah. And you're pleasant and courteous during a discussion. And this is, with all of these, it's like a central gate. We all fluctuate back and forward. Because it's real life. Sometimes you come in, you've had a really bad day, you get angry. But we have to look at all this. And I'm going to start at the bottom here. Because sometimes when we see people who are quite argumentative, who are repeatedly disruptive, whether that be a parent or a child or a member of staff, you think, oh, how arrogant is that person? Yeah? Full of themselves. Actually, it's the opposite. They have the least amount of confidence. The only way they know how to get themselves heard is by being a toddler, stamping and listen to me, because they don't have the confidence to be able to convey what they're saying. Otherwise, because they feel like nobody will listen to me. They feel powerless to be able to do that in a manner that can command attention. So when you see this in a child, know that actually they're laughing. There's Wissam in my class. That boy lacks the most amount of confidence that I've seen it in a long time. Yet he comes across as quite aggressive. He comes across as like, I know everything. And he'll stand for attention a lot of the times. He's craving something. He doesn't know how to get that without stamping his feet. He's not very confident.
Can we don't mention names, please?
Okay. I'm giving you an example for you to be able to engage with.
Everyone will have that impression on their child.
this is so again, this is it's not a negative thing. So when you're training like this, if I give you an example that's not tangible, you won't understand. If I give you an example of a child, let's call him X, this is the way that this child behaves. I'm not pointing out the child's negative behavior because it's not actually negative behavior. I'm pointing out that what comes across as a certain type of behavior, what we need to understand is sometimes there's something else behind it, and it's usually lack of confidence. So as teachers, it's about propping that up. So training, in the purpose of training, this is not I'm going to go with that. It's not like I'm giving you an example so you understand what I mean. Yes? So any child that fits that bill in your class, you need to know that child has no confidence. So how do you and I as a teacher build that confidence up? Yeah?
Can I add a point? Yes. I've got one of my daughters, this is her way for asking questions, like shouting, screaming, everything, and then when I started thinking about it, I thought about myself first for her. I found myself don't looking at her eyes when she's talking to me, asking for something, so I'm not giving her attention. Maybe you're working and you don't have time, so you're listening, but you're not looking at her. But when I changed my way, she changes. When I look at her, so the problem was with me, not her. Sometimes the problem with the teacher.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So this is why this is essential. And then if you think about staff, Caitlin, your own interaction with staff, how everyone is, what the dynamics are for you, you'll get a clear picture of different personalities, different natures, how people approach you. So how do you react to that? This is a very real issue. Underdressed, overdressed. Again, if you're coming to, this is me. If I'm going to a party, I'll be the least dressed person there. Sarah will watch. I lack confidence. I've always lacked confidence. I think I'm too fat. I don't think I look good. So I'll just wear whatever, That's a lack of confidence. So you want to become a wallflower. I'll just hide behind everybody else. You're not organized. So you don't really come to FLA prepared. You're just there. And where's my things? Kids, where's your stuff here? You're afraid to speak unless spoken to. So unless I come and ask you, is everything okay? Do you have a problem? You won't come and tell me. Because you're afraid to do that if you don't have confidence. Again, you'll sit, like you don't even know you're in the room. Somewhere behind, I'll just sit quietly in the corner, I won't say anything, hopefully it'll all pass. Again, you wait for people to come to you because, and I found this, I always say hello first. I find that a little bit daunting. You're uncomfortable looking at someone for more than an instant. Like, Assalamu alaikum. I had a question to ask you. Your whole demeanor changes, so that's how you know. You sit down as though on X, okay? So what does that mean? Imagine if I've got a hot egg. If you're in a room, so just imagine the kids in your class, they sometimes have like a different reason. You will have one or two children that are seriously lacking in confidence. I've seen issues of bullying where that child who's, they'll be cowering, sitting there, they're trying to get away from the kid that you can see it clearly. And you tend to slump. And I don't mean, obviously, like no one walks a bit like this, but the person who's lacking confidence is a little bit more demure. Okay. So, assertiveness and body language is really important, but it ties in to this up here first of all is listening. And how does that happen? We're going to do an exercise that's going to show that. So what's listening? Listening is a skill that's essential for actually talking. We don't realize this. It means that you've actually heard what the other person is saying, but you're also showing an interest. If I don't really have an interest in what you're saying, I'll generally make an excuse and exit that conversation because it's a little bit unfair to you because I don't want to. Yeah. So you do. Some people do that knowingly. Some people do it unknowingly. You show interest by looking at the person who's speaking. I said one of my very good friends, she regularly sit with her phone in her face while I'm in front of her, and I will knock it out of her hand. That's me being very aggressive. I will knock it and I'll say to her, no, I am good enough for you to sit and actually look at me in the eye and have a conversation. I don't really care about your phone. Just put it away. No. No means no, yeah? By nodding your head, you understand what's being said. By asking questions, all these things that we do as cues to make sure I've understood what you are saying to me. So as colleagues, how do we hear each other? How do we react to each other? How do we behave with each other? How do we behave with our children? It all starts off by listening. And listening is such a crucial thing also because we tend to imprint certain things into our brain. If I've heard something that you've said, but I've heard it not correctly because I was thinking about something else. Let me try and give you an example. So, let me see. Someone is talking to me about racism. Okay, racism in schools. Let's try and keep it school-based. The first thing that happens to me is I think about myself and my own experience. So my listening becomes informed by that experience. What comes out of that person's mouth next will be tainted by the preconceptions that I already have, or the pre-feelings that I already have about racism in school. Okay? That person can be agreeing with me or disagreeing, but it will be tainted by that. So what I hear, how I react, and how I behave after that is informed by that information that's come into my ear. And all of my behaviour, whether it becomes passive-aggressive or assertive or passive-aggressive, is informed by how I heard it. So actually, listening is a prerequisite skill to whether you are an assertive person in that. And then let's be clear, these questionnaires, like you'll see down here, some have 2, some have 1, some have 4, some have 3, because in every situation you tend to be different. You're not always assertive, you're not always aggressive, you're not always passive. So, why that is because of how you hear things. If a very aggressive person is talking to you, and you generally are not that aggressive, the first thing you've heard is, oh, this person is, stronger than me, more powerful than me, has a position, so you cover. So listening and adjusting your body language and adjusting yourself to react to that situation is really important. So we have 2 groups, A, B, and A. Group A will be the speakers, and Group B will be the listeners. No, actually I want 3 listeners.
I'll be listening.
So you can be B as well? So can the group A's go out, please? Out to the group A's. Yeah.
And then we give you one to talk.
That was quick.
So if you please, if you're A, you can go out and close the door, please.
We have 3 B's.
Yeah, so Alice began with us. Yeah.
So you guys are the listeners, yeah? Your job is to not speak.
Okay, that's going to be hard.
You have not to speak. Every time you have the urge to ask a question or to say something, just put your hand up. Don't tell them what you're doing. Just put your hand up, okay? And be mindful of how many times you're doing that. Yeah? So I want you to be the listeners. This will all come together once we finish the exercise.
On va faire un exercice comme on va ils vont parler. Et à chaque fois que tu veux dire quelque chose, il ne faut pas juste le dire, mais il faut lever la main. Et compter combien de fois tu lèves la main. On va voir. Est-ce que ça va donner?
I think this is one of the problems when new teachers, young comes and like they don't practice the language very much. They have questions, they have something to say, you know, they don't have the language to say it, but people think that they are like passive and they don't have the confidence and stuff. But then by the time they will get used to it.
I didn't tell anyone about this.
So Caitlin and Suad, I will have you both listen to Amal and Paula. I will have you listen to Sarah.
Do you have anything different?
So the listeners, you have to note down everything you're saying as well, okay?
Like taking notes in class.
Yeah, just
Taking banana.
So all the groups know the rules, yes?
In Arabic or in English?
English, please.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the last and I went to short 5 weeks, my husband came with us for 3 weeks. We did 1 week in Cairo with my husband, and we did 2 weeks in Hurghada and Al-Buna. We did 1 week in the villa, so hotels. It was really nice. The villa was just us, magic girls. We had family time. It was nice. It was chilled out. We had a local supermarket we were bought. We took in and all of this stuff. So we could do this. It was really lovely and lovely.
Her son
and then my husband's cousin, she was in Hurghada at the same time. And we went from Al-Buna to Hurghada. We met up with her daughter. Yeah. And it was just really nice. I was not close to her in Dundee. She was in Dundee. She moved to England now. So I wasn't close to her when she was here, but on holiday I was really well the first time. I was really well together with her husband and friends of Matthew and so we saw them often. We had a lot more atmosphere in the hotel. There was a lot more people. We got to meet people. The migrants had a kids club, so the kids club where you can go to activities with other kids.
So he was
And meet up with friends and things like that. So we had a really, really good time. We met with people, we met with my husband, but we were close to them. And they were back to Cairo with my husband.
And
Came back
idea
here.
of
And this is the first time that I stayed in Cairo by myself. So I was always either with my parents or staying with my other cousin, but she was pregnant and she went back to Derby where she was brought up. So I was a bit worried, what was going to do by myself for 2 weeks, how will I be able to travel, how will I be able to manage by myself. But alhamdulillah, it was a great experience. I got in contact with all my family, my relatives, we met up, we did everything. I travelled with the girls in the taxi by myself. We went to places like Tahiti and the Nile and things like that. So for me it was a big, very, really good experience because I've never done that.
Very exciting way.
It was very different.
We went on a boat.
It's very busy, it's very fast, you have to know what you're talking about, you have to know how to get around, how to meet the things, alhamdulillah, it was really good. And also within that time, my dad would call me here every day. When I'm here in Dundee, I've always got something to do when I'm busy, so I speak to my mum and dad. Twice a week maximum, once or twice a week was not too great, so my dad he felt like, what's happening, how are you getting on, and things like that, so he was really...
Can we stop there, please? Usually I would swap and then have the other person do it as well, but you don't have a huge amount of time and I want to do other things as well. Now, I told the listeners they're not allowed to speak back. And I told them to put their hand up every time they wanted to engage in a conversation. The only person I see doing that was Khalda. I seen you put your hand up a couple of times. I also told you to take notes. Yeah? As an experiment, it's worked out exactly how this works out. Khawla, if you notice, did away with the notes. Look at her sheet. The sheet said nothing. How many times did you guys put your hands up?
0.
Can anyone ascertain which group was the successful one?
Depends on
No.
what's the outcome. What do you want the outcome
So
to be?
the outcome is the definition that I had before. Who was most successful?
I think the listener, she was more engaged because she was listening, she actually felt that she wanted to respond and things like that, rather than concentrating on taking notes. She took it in.
Okay. Do you guys think you guys are more successful? If yes, why?
I think I listened well. I didn't, first of all, interrupt her, but I did engage with her through, like, I was looking at her,
So
I
now-
was nodding, I was smiling when, like, she was telling things that were, like, funny, so I did engage with her without saying anything.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you each a question as the listeners. I want you to tell me about Sarah's. I'm trying to put this into words. So experientially, I don't want to know the facts of what Sarah did. I want to know what her experience was in her last holiday. How did she come back from that holiday feeling, and in terms of her as a person?
Well, she went there, she was a bit worried about some stuff, but she came back more confident because she done it herself. That what was worrying her. They're going there, she's done stuff she's never done with herself before, and that gave her more confidence. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So something that Sarah never done before, she did that on her
She
holiday.
did that. Yeah.
And a most experiential.
Very positive, really.
No, so I want you to tell me what her experience was.
Okay, so she had an amazing time. She did things that she didn't do before. She was, I think, very happy about
You
her
think?
husband. I mean, I got the feeling from
You got
the
the
way
feeling.
she was telling me about it that her husband, because I didn't talk to her husband, but her husband was very satisfied with his holiday, and she's very happy about that. For her, it was a success because.
So the difference between this, and in today's world, it's even more real. Our lives are full of distractions. With our children, mostly our husbands with us because they're on their phones. Even in class, you're trying to get the next thing ready. What you'll find with Khawla and Sarah is that they probably would have made more of a human connection because she wasn't busy writing things down and trying to get all the facts in because I'm trying to make it. Listening is an active motion. It's an active motion of connecting. It's an active motion of not butting into what that person is saying, but when you wish to add value, you understand, how do I do that? So all the times that you felt the urge to do that, you'll find aggressive people will just butt in and say, yeah, but you know what happened to me and this. You will find that with aggressive people. People that are assertive and who wish to engage in Sarah's experience, they will add to her experience, yeah? They will add to Sarah's experience without bringing yourself and what I did and look at me into it. What happened here was, I'm not saying that connection didn't happen, but half the time you were writing, you weren't actually looking at Amal. Because you can't look at Amal and write at the same time, right? So what you were writing down is what you were hearing from your ear. When you're listening, when you're actively listening, you're actually engaging with the person. Your body language, your eyes, how you follow them. People that are very, very in tune with other people's emotions, they're very in tune with how a person is behaving, slightest difference. Those people are the ones that use their eyes and follow the person. As you're talking, I won't just notice what's coming out your mouth. All the obvious things are there, you know. Obvious things we all pick up on. But there's very little subtle things that you will quite often miss about a person in an office environment because we're all busy, right? This happened. What is that person actually saying to you? If I'm come in and I'm telling you something, I may be passive, I may not be able to tell you fully what's bothering me, and I'm telling you a story. My body language will 100% of the time give away. The words coming out of my mouth mean absolutely nothing. So body language, thing that started off with first. And the active listening, these are prerequisites to our behaviour. They inform every single thing that we do. So, my experience with my children in stage 4, the minute you walk into that class, for me, I have to assert myself. And it's not the words that are coming out of my mouth. It's not, you must listen to me and don't you. This is not how children respond. Because all human beings, down to little babies, your baby will know you're different when you're feeling sad. They will know you're different when you're angry, you had a fight with your husband. They know, kids know, because your body language says, here, eat your dinner, eat it, enjoy. You know, how you talk to a child by doing active, they're getting their dinner, but how are you behaving with them? So your behaviour and how you as the receiver of the information, how are you actually listening to that? And how is that all calculating in here? And this is a skill that's it's not something you're born with. It's something that's learned over time by engaging with lots of different types of people. So what you find is passive people generally are not what you call people persons. They're quite antisocial, they're lacking confidence, they don't understand how to deal with different, because they've never been in that situation where they have to. You'll find people that are more assertive, certainly aggressive people, but assertive people are able to deal with different kinds of people because they're very used to these tiny, but because they actually listen and they will be in tune with their own body language and how someone is responding to that. And this is, this training is useful for all of us, especially for me, because I find myself struggle in different environments because I'm very comfortable in one kind of environment. And we're all the same. You'll be very comfortable in one kind of environment, a little more comfortable in that environment. But the more you engage in that and actually conscientiously look at what you're doing and what the other person is doing, this is how you learn being assertive. So it's not just your words. So Caitlin, for example, I wrote down as you were talking, right? This was pre we started our thing. You said, I'm just very happy that the staff are filling out, what was it? The worksheets, or no, not the worksheets. I'm just very happy that they are doing that, yeah? So the words coming out of your mouth are telling me that you are able to put a stop button there. I'm satisfied, I'm happy, at least the staff are doing this. But the problem with this scenario is your goal is that staff members are in attendance. Yeah? This is fundamentally making you unhappy. It's making you stressed. So the words coming out your mouth did not match your body language. Because the words that came out of your mouth were very passively aggressive because you were being sarcastic, not actually happy. I'm just happy that, yeah?
I don't think it's sarcastic, it's more like
it's more of a
me trying to tell to myself, right, that they're doing that, so I should congratulate them for taking the first step towards the goal. This is a classic passive behavior, and as someone who's in a position of leadership, it can work, I would say 20% of the time. In certain situations it does work. Most situations it does not. Because you've already alerted all other staff members in this room that we can push your boundaries. She's quite satisfied with that. The bare minimum that I do, which by the way is my job, right, what I'm paid to do, it's a bare minimum. She's got, why would I? She doesn't even bother that I'm not doing the other part of my job, so why would I even bother coming at 10:30 on a holiday? Why would I do that? I want to be home, I want to be seeing my friends, It's the message that's coming from your body language. If you keep telling me, I'm very satisfied that you're doing 50% of your work, yay me. Now you've put me in a position of power, and I'm able to assert myself and say, hey Caitlin, I'm not coming at 10:30 on Thursday. What are you going to do about it? Well, nothing, because I'm really happy that you've got your work plans in.
Do you understand?
You satisfied with the needs. Is that what I understand? Yeah.
So
I do get
actually,
what you're saying.
what happens is, so forget this particular situation, yes? This is behaviours that we replicate in different scenarios. And it becomes a baseline of who we are and how we are received by people. So whether you know it consciously or subconsciously, this behaviour will have replicated itself time and time again, over and over again. So everyone understands that Caitlin, she might be a bit annoyed, but there is actually no consequences here. I don't feel bad, because Caitlin's really happy with what I've done. So, I mean, I'm only picking up this because this happened today. And these trainings are about being real. These trainings are about actually taking real life things that are happening and figuring out how do we turn that on its head. So a challenge for you is, if there's a question here on dealing with staff, and trying to telling staff to do what they should be doing, not only what I'm telling them to because I'm a dictator, it's just their job. I will bet it's haram, I would bet everything that I have to say that you wouldn't have put a phone there. Never.
I definitely wouldn't,
No.
and I can tell you why it is such a big problem for me. I do realize it. It's because the way I was brought up, my culture is that when something is your job,
You do it.
and you do, then you do it. If you have to be there somewhere at 9 o'clock, then you're there 5 minutes before 9. So for me, it is a huge cultural shock that people could even consider not doing their job. So for me, if I have explained once this is the way it should be done, for me to go and say it again, I feel from my cultural perspective, I'm treating the person as an idiot. But I do realize at the same time that it is because of this difference, because I've come into a cultural room where what I think is normal is not normal. So that's why, I should be pushing these things, and I think, for a lot of issues, for example, the lateness, everything that we have, I'm trying to tell myself, while not actually being satisfied, that I should be satisfied with the progress that we're doing, because I do realize that culturally, for the people that I'm working with, this is not a norm. It is already for them big progress to be doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
I do.
So I would push. I would still be pushing it further, but I'm trying to convince myself that okay, it's normal, that it takes them some time getting used to this as well. I can't expect them to overnight. Like Caitlin is here with her stupid Estonian stuff and punctuality and stuff, and then she expects everyone around her to be like her.
Okay, so I think this is a classic example of how we as human beings struggle in different situations, and especially in different, that is totally not the next level, in different cultural norms, yeah? So what I hear you telling me is that in Estonia, you're efficient, we basically do the job that we're told to do, and that's how it is. So my expectation of you or you or you is going to be the same because that's all I know. On the other hand, I'm telling you, in my culture, I say 5, I come at 6, same difference, that it's okay, yeah? So now you're sitting here thinking, this is a very difficult situation. So I should give that person, give me the benefit of the doubt because their culture is different from mine, and I don't want to impose myself and be aggressive and say this is not okay because it's normal for them, yeah? Now, how about if I tell you that the cultural norm in FLA while we are all different nationalities, the cultural norm, okay, so let's think about culture. Where does culture take place? Where does culture come from? Okay, but what is that? Is that a physical space?
No.
Which country do your parents come from?
Libya.
Okay, so is your culture Libyan?
Arab country.
Okay.
Arab, yeah.
So you're telling me you're Estonian, yeah? So a lot of my culture is informed by Estonia. Some of your culture might be informed by Arab or Libyan culture or Egyptian culture. Mine is very much informed by Scottish and Pakistani culture because that's where I grew up. So they're actually physical spaces. You can see Pakistan on a map. You can see Estonia on a map. Yeah? You can see Egypt on a map. It's a place. The place that we come from informs a lot of our cultural norms, right? The place that our parents come from, how they behave with us, is the cultural norm that they're used to. Okay? So it's a place. What's FLA?
Place.
No. What is FLA? It's a place of what? No. For you, what is it a place of?
Education.
What do you come here to do?
To teach.
It's a place. So our minds now are shifting. It's not a place of a combustion of different cultural nationalities. This is not a place where we have this melding of beautiful things and we all enjoy. That is part of it. We do all that separately in our socializing. But this place, FLA, where you come 2 hours every day, is a place of work. Okay? Do we all agree with this?
No.
Is what I'm saying wrong?
Yes, and FLA is wrong.
This is a workplace, yes?
It is workplace, but it's not per se. It's not the word.
Okay,
It's,
so I want you
something
to tell me in your words, what is FLA? When you come here to do a job, what would you describe this place as? I'm going where? So you're telling your husband, it's 4:45, no, it's 3:30, I'm now setting off for?
I'm going to school, but
You're going to school?
yes,
You're going to school.
yes.
So you're going to school to learn?
No, I'm
Okay.
going to school to teach.
To teach. And people who teach are what?
Working.
You're working, right?
Yes,
So then FLA is a workplace, yes?
it is.
But what's the but? So this is today. If I only achieve this today, we will leave with this. What is the but? I want to know this but. Explain this but to me.
Workplace, they have a certain agenda and criteria. Doesn't affected by anyone's background.
Okay, so like
You want a culture.
yeah. Okay, so
But here is all about culture. Everything in this place is about culture.
for example,
From the head office until the
okay.
case.
So head office meaning the board of YYI?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm on the board of YYI.
Yeah.
So how is YYI a place of culture compared to a place of work? I'm just trying to understand.
It's the rules in the FLA.
Yeah.
It's all comes from culture.
So
It's not. That's why when something doesn't go right, you cannot compare it to a state school.
okay, no, I'm hearing you. I hear everything you say.
Yeah.
So as a tangible piece of something I can go with,
Yeah.
what's one rule that you know of that is coming from culture?
It's for example, if you go for someone complaining,
Okay.
that complaint probably, well, I'm not experienced in other schools, but it goes in a certain way you expect it to go. But in here, it goes, it's a shamble. It doesn't go in a straight way. Everyone is taken, affecting that situation.
But that's
It's
not,
it
that's
feels
not because
that-
that's the way.
Hold on, Caitlin. Okay, that's from your point of view is a valid point because everything that we have to say It's a valid point. Everything that I have to say is of value, and what you have to say is of value. So, your interpretation of a rule, for example, a procedure, a policy of dealing with complaints, you feel is not dealt with the same way as a state school, therefore is being informed by a cultural norm.
Yes.
Okay, that's very interesting.
But that's not the norm, that's not the policy that
Well,
we have. It's still
I
people
experienced
missing, yeah.
there was something different when Caitlin became the responsible. Okay.
Can I say yes?
Okay.
But
first time I felt there is something different.
Okay.
Because I joined the FLA before Caitlin. So that period is different from Caitlin's period.
Sure.
There is something felt different. There is a way I could say the rules start to be more reasonable and more clear than before.
Sure. So just another question. Rules. When do they work and when do they not work? Yeah. So the rule in class is that you only speak when you're spoken to, yes? For example. 4 kids immediately break that rule. Does that rule work? Is that rule flawed?
No.
What's flawed?
Application.
It's the application.
That's the point. Like we can
So-
have the right
So,
structure
for example,
complaints, but if people don't follow it,
so
it doesn't mean
the
the rule is not there.
cultural
The rule is there.
differences. So this is really what one of the purposes of today was, to get everyone thinking the same way. So if the rule in FLA is that you and I, as a teacher, we must be present to take our children at 3:50, okay? For example. Because they're here, there's no one else that they're our responsibility. And now a new rule is, post the bell going, you must ensure that your children have all left safely with an accompanied adult, yes? Rule? Yes or no? Yes? One of us decides, actually, I'd quite like to just get home. I pick up my bag, my children are left, and I leave. Is the rule culturally flawed? No, right? What's flawed is that we don't work as a team. Yes? Mm-hmm. Correct? Mm-hmm. So we're here for honesty. We're here for openness. Mm-hmm. The reasons why rules do not work is because each and every one of us do not follow them. Because, and the because is the interesting point, it's the point that you raised, because we're all coming from a different cultural background, yes? Some of us might take it seriously, actually, yes, it's a place of work. These are the rules. I behave in a professional way here. I must do this, 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 and this. When I leave, I am now on personal time. So you behave accordingly. If you don't think these are important rules, you'll do what you want. That's okay. That's fine. We're all adults. That's how we live, yeah? We can't punish each other because we're not children. We understand that we're all responsible and we do the best that we can. But so today, part of this assertiveness training is an assertion from FLA's point of view that it is a place of work, which means that rules need to be followed. On your point though, I do acknowledge there are always room for improvement. Some things don't work as well as they should, and we learn and we try and change it. And for that we need all the teachers to say, hey, this didn't work, can we look at it this way, can we change it? But then we're all in. We're all in for a penny, we're all in for a pound. Once it's changed, we say, yeah, alhamdulillah, this is shura, we've done it, now we follow. Yes? So, this cultural norm definitely has a part to play in how we assert ourselves. 100%. How I behave with someone who's from a different culture, how they take it, is a given.
But we also have a standard, and I'm not here to give you any sort of tabiyah. We have a standard, and it's a Quranic standard, yes? Correct? I want you to name me one prophet, any prophet, who was not assertive. Who was passive or who was aggressive. Name one.
Not assertive.
Yunus.
No.
No.
The Anbiya is more lenient. The Anbiya are more lenient than the prophets.
Perfect. So they are what we aspire to be like. We can't be like them, of course. That would be insane because we're not prophets. But we study the Sunnah. Why? Because the perfect model, or supposed perfect model, has been set. When you study the psychology in the Quran of the prophets, peace be upon them all, yes? They all failed. They all had hardship. They all struggled with people of different cultural norms. Sometimes their own people who they had differences with, yes?
Yes.
How did they adjust to that? There was one standard, the gold standard, which is Allah's standard. And that's always in the back of our head. So this is not why we're here. In FLA, there is one standard, yes? How do we assert that standard? From the point of leadership, and from the point of the people who are doing the following. Yeah? So we are staff. We are being directed and guided by it. So asserting ourselves becomes easier when two people are able to engage with each other on a common ground. For us, FLA is a common ground. Yes? So these workplace standards are there for a reason. Asserting yourself on these standards is actually not being aggressive at all. And it's not saying that your culture is not as important as mine, or vice versa, because it's not. I think when you read or you study business or workplace organizations, you will study that workplaces and organizations have their own cultures, they have their own norms. Some people describe them as organizations, as organisms that grow. Some people describe them, in a very Fordian way, in a very kind of sort of, there's things that go from A to B to C. In FLA, we have our own culture. Because we are here to please Allah first of all, we're here to teach children, but it's also a place of work. So our professionalism must be there. So asserting yourself means setting those boundaries. Once, and not being happy if someone doesn't meet those, if those boundaries are being crossed, then you can't be happy about everything else that's done. It's like negated. It's like a child saying, "Hey, I cleaned my room. Yay! And mashallah, you go in, what do you see? They picked up everything, they put it in the cupboard, they closed the cupboard, right? Clean my room, Mama. Can I have TV now?" It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. When you and I as staff come in and say, "Hey, we've done this, but we can't be bothered with that," it's disrespectful and it's not doing the job. It's as clear cut as that. There is no room for debate or argument. It is exactly what I said. It's disrespectful and you're not doing your job. So when we expect our kids in class to do their homework and do their job and they don't do it, what do we do? What would you say to a child who has not done their homework? Yeah, physically, what would you say to them? What would your body language be like? Would you be like, "Hey, I'm really glad you went home and took your bag. That'd be great if you wash it all."
Why I didn't do it? Now I find them.
But what would you say? Pretend I'm the child. And then you say to me, "Did you do your homework?"
Okay, then no, okay, so why didn't you do it? You had the chance to do it while you're busy.
But miss, I do know my lectures. I do.
But if you want to move on and you want to do well for that,
I know my lectures.
But you don't know it. That's like you're not moving on.
How are you going to gauge that? I don't know.
Because unless we treat it, then you don't know it.
Exactly, right? It's a very physical motion. It's a very physical activity. this idea of management and being managed is a very physical, transformational doing. It's not a saying, it's a doing. If I'm being managed by you, it means I'm doing the tasks that are being set by you. If you are managing me, you are showing that you're getting the best of what I have to give and that those goals are being met. Because in any organization, if goals are not met, what happens? You become stagnant. The organization, it can't move forward. When you sit here and have conversations about pens, 10 minutes of my life have gone because we spoke about pens. Right? So these are the thoughts and the behaviours that we have to recognise about ourselves. And this is not just about how I can be, it's how am I perceived. It's a very passive, aggressive act to say, hey, by the way, I didn't do that, but that's okay. To recognise that is a difficult thing to do because no one wants to be taken into account, no one wants to be criticised, and a part of, we can't do this training today, but part of the training is understanding how to make a request, okay? How to deal with anger, and how to actually apply criticism to yourself and recognise that. And it's a very Islamic principle. You know, it's recognising who's in the mirror, who is staring back at me. When we do nasiha of ourselves on a daily basis, we worry about meeting Allah. I'm deficient here, and I'm deficient here, and I'm deficient here, and we make dua, Ya Allah, make me better, make me stronger, right? Our purpose in this dunya is to be the best that we can possibly be. Anywhere, in your home, with your children, with your husband, at work. FLA is a place of work. There is a full stop at the end of that sentence. It's a place of work. So what are the norms at work? Does anyone else work anywhere else during the day? Or has worked somewhere else in their life? Yeah? What are the norms at work?
Working time, coming and leaving.
Yeah. What else?
You have targets that need to be met.
You have targets that have to be met. What else? Engaging with people in a professional manner. It doesn't mean we take the personal out of it. That's what staff do outside for you. When you're in FLA, you're professional. Which means we deal with each other in a professional, not in an emotional and a personal way. Because you wouldn't do that at a regular workplace. It's abnormal to hear of this. It's abnormal for you to go into your boss's office and say, yeah, I didn't bother coming in for the training. Is it a normal thing to do? Right?
That's the difference.
This is the difference. And the difference is not because the YY board are cultural or anything. No, the difference is because this mindset has not yet sunk in with the whole team. Once the whole team joins together in this and understands this, I will write it down. You can take anything from my house, yeah? Whatever you want. I'm that confident. FLA will move 10 times faster than what it is now. 100%.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
It's not to criticize anyone, but usually what people do, they copy their superior.
False.
Kids, they copy their parents.
Do you think so?
Yeah. Most of the time, it's
So if the
if
child...
you go to a place with a very punctual management, you cannot do whatever you like. You will be ruled by the rules.
Okay.
If
So
you go to a place where things are different for everyone, you will stick to the rules for a certain, depends on your personality.
So
and
now,
then you will start taking
now
things
replicate this.
right.
Replicate this thought process, right?
Yeah.
Tomorrow,
Yeah.
I would like you to go into a pub, sit in a pub, and then drink, and say, well, everybody who is drinking, So therefore, I will
No, not everyone.
Okay.
Not everyone.
Now,
And
I make this point very seriously.
I would love
Because,
each and every
hold on,
teacher
Caitlin.
to
Because
help me.
we make these excuses fundamentally for ourselves, yes? Correct? If you came to work late, for example, and Caitlin said to you, you are now late, you may now leave, you will not be paid today and don't come back for a week. Caitlin's there. Caitlin's there every day. 3:30 onwards. Caitlin is there without fail. Okay? So lateness is not an excuse. Because your superior is there every single day. That's a fact. Caitlin was here 10 o'clock today. I got here at 10:05. I know. Caitlin was here at 10. So lateness is not a reflection of management. If your children in stage 5 are going crazy, is it because you're crazy? No. Because they're nuts. They've decided this is how you want to behave. Personal responsibility
It's
is
not the same
paramount.
situation what you mentioned. There is I don't know if it's a hadith or a common saying. الناس على دين ملوكهم. It means the people are doing the same what their government doing. And if you look around, it's right. Whether you change the government, bringing someone else, it's the same situation.
I agree
For
with you.
mentioning the kids in the class with their teacher, it's not the same example because they are not.
So now,
They will change by the time. It's
because we are
all
not
of a
leaving
sudden.
here today
Yeah.
until we are all of us
Yes.
on the same page, yes?
Yes, I agree. I agree.
Okay, so now,
But just mentioning, just
okay,
being.
so now, so we have a visual of what's happening. FLA management, yeah?
Yes.
What? Yes or no?
Not on time.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I know
Yes.
the people feel like they are. So,
Yes or no? Do you have targets to meet? Do you have a curriculum? Okay. Okay. What else is management not doing that they're meant to do? Tell me one thing.
can be clear. Can
Yeah?
I be
Be
clear?
clear, because
Yes,
this is the
clear.
purpose of today.
Well, sometimes from not organized. Yes, sometimes they are not organized.
For example,
when you see the situation, when you enter in, and the rules was the kids are not, they are not allowed to be left without their parents except the last 10 minutes, for example. There is a rule. I feel Caitlin putting rules every time.
okay. And
But when
is Caitlin
I
not
see-
following the rule?
No, when I come to the FLA,
No, so wait,
it's
hold on.
not
Amal,
always.
no, Amal, is Caitlin not following that rule? Because currently Caitlin is management.
I think Caitlin put in the rules, but she is not the one who implementing the rules.
Because she's not following it?
No, because when you enter when you see the rules,
I
you enter
I
the.
hear what you're saying. You come in and kids are everywhere.
No,
Okay.
yes,
And
there's no
they're
parent,
being left.
for example.
Okay. Are they left by management?
I don't know.
Is Caitlin
who
there?
to blame?
Yes or no?
Who to
No,
blame?
so this is not a blame culture, yes?
Yeah.
It's not a blame culture. It's about recognizing that the minute we start making excuses for everything that's going on around us and not taking responsibility, it creates a very negative environment where the give and take becomes less and less. Okay? Fact. Because you brought up FLA management, Caitlin's in at 3:30, Caitlin leaves at 6:20. By which point you've all already left, yes or no? You all left, right?
Yeah.
So if it comes down to the basics, Caitlin is there until the very last child leaves.
Not only one this year though. It's Aisha.
So Aisha,
to be honest,
Aisha and Caitlin.
I'm here at 3:30, even though I don't have to, but I come from school, so I open. Because it was adding to my time now that we have actually put it down, that it's the administrator who stays behind it.
Who, by the way, forms part of the management in a way, okay? There is somebody here who is not you, who is not you, who is not you, and who is not you, and who is not me. Who is there right till the end to ensure every child is left safely with an adult, yes or no? So the chaos that ensues in between, what we are basically saying is overall, the buck stops with Caitlin. If you're not doing your job, it's Caitlin's fault. If you're not doing your job, it's Caitlin's fault. If I'm not doing my job, it's Caitlin's fault. It's my cultural norm not to worry, or my cultural norm to blame someone else. This is not a workplace norm. When we start assigning blame, when we start passing the buck and not worry about ourselves, this is where the problems are at. And I'm telling you this because I observe. I observe as a board member. I observe as someone who's only here once a week. These are real problems. You're right, the overall responsibility from an insurance point of view, the buck stops at me, at the board, right? Because we are financially responsible for everything that happens here. If we get sued, we're responsible. The buck stops with Caitlin, because she has to make sure that you're doing your job. But if you are not doing your job, the problem here is Caitlin is actually too passive. This is what we are realizing from this. She's too passive because of this perception of cultural norms. I can't say that because it's normal for you to be late. I go to a wedding 6, 7, 8, who cares? Yeah? This is a cultural norm, so I'm not going to say anything because I can't expect them to change.
It doesn't mean that I would not say anything, but I would be saying the same thing over.
But saying and doing are two different things.
Again.
So the minute someone is not doing, your stance then has to become a lot more assertive in terms of the reaction to what is not happening. And that's where you just sit down and figure out strategies for that. We are going to take a break and come back. I will leave with this point though. This room, this space where we come to learn and train is a safe space, yes? So if you say something, or you say something, or I say something, we deal with it here because we're training. It doesn't leave the room. Yes? We don't go back and say, here, this happened. We're trying to figure something out here. Because the goal of this training is not just you come and I say something nice and then you go with some paper and you go home and have a cup of tea. We need to fundamentally make a change. And that change can only happen when we're all mentally and physically doing it. This is not an exercise in theory. You want me to come and train? I'm not going to come and give you theory. I can care less about theory. If I have to spend 8 hours doing this, what we're doing now, I'll do it. Because this is where the difference happens. This is why the whole team needs to be present. This dictaphone means nothing. We need to be here. We have to back the person who's leading us. If we were climbing up Mount Everest, you find a Sherpa to take you, yes, because they know that this is what we do. They do not remember from those times. The Sherpa tells you need to stop here now, put an extra layer on, whatever physical things you have to do to get up this mountain, and you decide, I'm not going to do that. It's not normal for me to do the extra jumper. And plus she's not wearing an extra jumper. I'm not doing it. It's all a bit of a shambles. And then you start walking because you have to walk. And you get frostbite and your toes fall off. It's the Sherpa's fault. He should have made sure I had it on. Whose fault is it? Come on. We're all adults here, we're not children. We have to take responsibility for ourselves. Yes? My job to take responsibility for me. If I'm failing in my class, it's not your fault. My fault. Why am I not preparing? Why am I not seeing that the kids are not moving forward? Workplace is different from being a child at school. Your boss's responsibility is not to hold your hand and tell you what to do every step of the way. That's your job as a teacher. Because they're children, they don't know. I don't know what the batas are. You do. Now you tell me. I'll hold your hand and I'll tell you. This is my start. It's my job. You already know. You already know I need to come to work on time. You already know I have to come to work in my uniform. I have to come prepared. These are the rules. If I mess up, I don't get paid. If I mess up again, I might get fired. It's on you. You're an adult. So these conversations,
I think to solve all these problems, you have to connect it with the training. Like for the training, you could make it like by choice, like optional. Nobody will prefer to wake up early and to get ready, get the kids ready, get everything ready. But if you like want them to attend, connect it to payment. Want them to be inside, connect it to the payment.
So in service days, you are paid. You're being paid for today.
That would never be before. And
I
I
don't know,
that's
that's last year.
But I prefer to attend, like to improve myself. You know, in schools they give like points for the teacher and
We are paid.
you know.
We are paid to come.
Yes.
Okay.
You are paid.
And even for weekends as well as service day training.
You know, even for coming early and leaving late, like I come here before the time. I mean, I've got family, I've got kids after me. Like you want me to come 15 minutes early, I'll be 15 minutes later. You know.
Okay, I 100% hear you.
You
are
connected to our
payment,
religion,
yes.
you know.
So since last year,
if you give people by choice, nobody will pray.
so maybe you
nobody will
can make
pray.
it clearer,
You
okay?
know, it's
That they're being,
connected to us.
so you are being paid. So for example, if you come to work at 10 to 9 to get ready, your payment starts from 10, you're 9 o'clock, rest, yes? So those 5-10 minutes here and there, that is a given. This is life. You have to travel back and forward. This is not a, we are...
It's the same in all schools.
It's not, and also...
Teachers, they arrive before, they start to work at 9, but they are there way before and they do not get...
So like today, we've now spent a lot of time... We've now spent a lot of time on this one time...
That's another issue. Like, this is the way it works. If you come at 9, you would not be ready at 9 to start work. And it works the same way in normal schools here.
I sometimes think that because FLA, maybe because it's 2 hours a day, or maybe because it's a Muslim organisation, it's not given that importance if someone's working for a company or something with it. So I think that it's not just a thing that we do, that we come because we can or we have time and want a bit of money. It's that teaching comes with a passion from inside. That you can't be a teacher, but okay, do you know this up at no, that's fine. If you can't be bothered doing it, then I'll move on to someone who does know and who works hard at home and does that. It takes a whole lot of effort from the teacher, patience. You sometimes
go home with someone.
So this is more than a job, or should be more than a job. I don't know if that's just an individual thing, but you have a huge responsibility as a teacher. It lies on you, and if you're not teaching the kids in the way,
and this training is not for my benefit. It's for your benefit.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, so,
in your other life, not just teaching, to know yourself and who you are, it's helping you even with communicating with your kids.
But it's kind of the same, like we are not factory workers. We are not like bell 4 o'clock, bell 6 o'clock. Okay, I sat here for 2 hours. It's the same as you become a doctor. You can't just be a doctor and sit in your office and then you have this symptom. Okay, fine. You're actually responsible on people's lives. And as a teacher, you're responsible on the lives of the kids that are teaching, in the sense that they would grow up with this knowledge that you give to them. So it should be our calling. It is a workplace. That's a given. It is more than a workplace. This is why we do all this extra that we do, but it should be given for each and every member of the team that obviously it is a workplace.
Because you're giving the parents and the organisation that falls housing and security, that you're taking in these children and saying, I'm going to teach them this, by the end that they'll know this. And if you're not getting to those targets by just the way you are, then you failed everyone, and you've wasted a year of these children's lives, because they thought they will learn, and this is what's going to stay with them till the end. From what they learn now, this is the foundation, and this is the building blocks. And if we don't get it right now, then you've practically ruined the stage in their life. So I think teachers need to realise the responsibility that you have on these kids, and I'm not saying it's always easy, but it's a huge task.
So maybe it's an actional point of view to just make it clear to teachers that they're being paid, and if teachers have an issue with changing time, just keep the 4 to 6 time. It's a pain, but just keep it, because then no one.
The 4 to 6, 2 hours, isn't it?
Well, then we need to try and make sure it. We're going to strip a little bit. I want to talk a little more in detail about passive, assertive, and aggressive. And if you see the physical way that these people are coming across, passive people tend to be worried a lot more, tend to become panicked, frustrated. Aggressive people are, we all know people that are like that, just raging, full on, always in your face. And the assertive person is, they can move between being passive and aggressive. They're able to be both when they need to be. It's actually the optimum way to be. Because sometimes you need to be aggressive. Sometimes you need to be passive. And sometimes just hold your own. So this is kind of where we all as human beings optimally want to be. Very quickly, because I actually want to do the activity. You can read this quickly. So you're being passive when you don't stand up for what's best for you. You don't let people know what you want or need. When you're passive, you look to the floor, you mumble. When you're being passive, you feel bad, like you're being controlled, like someone's telling you what to do. And when you're passive, other people see you as little. You can't make decisions. You always need help, sometimes a bit childish, okay? So that's how people generally view you. And aggressive people, these are the worst types because they want to win at any cost. I'm right. I'll say the same thing over and over and over and over again until you listen to me, right? No. They're pushy, they put other people down, and they don't respect other people's feelings or ideas.
No, I was just thinking about myself.
Saying
Over and over. I'm not aggressive.
No.
I'm saying over and over and over again. And
No,
people
but
still don't listen.
But this is
I should be more aggressive.
But this is my point. No, so aggression is not a... So for example, your point, please don't be late, please don't be late. This is not aggression. This is you simply making a factual statement. Other person, if is not responding, they're actually the aggressive ones. They're passively being aggressive because I'm saying, I will not move from my position. I will come on my time, and that will be that, okay? So they're
this is actually what makes it difficult. I go ahead, I have a conversation with whoever teacher about being late or whatever issue, and usually the response that I get is, they're not going to tell me like, no, yes, you are right, I'm sorry, I'll not do it again, I'll do it by this time, and then I'm like as I said, typical Estonian, okay, she told me that she's going to do it by that time, so that's fine, I'm going to note it down, and then by that time it's still not done, and I'm all confused because she actually told me herself that she's going to do it, so how come she didn't do it? How do I address the issue? How do I address the issue then, like...
So, unfortunately, running out of time, so I don't actually have time to go into this. I would love to. The biggest unfortunate part of this is this conversation means nothing without everybody else here. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. So we need to have these conversations with everyone present. So aggression is if I talk to you like this, hey Paula, you're not listening to me, deal with me, and this, and this is not good. Yeah. So we have to be careful with how we use our hands. Using your hands assertively is making gentle motions, yeah? Waving in the air, all this kind of stuff. But you're holding your space. You're not allowing anyone to come too close to you. You are also not going too close to anyone and being aggressive, okay? So clenching fists, pointing fingers, all these things are quite... And after you've been aggressive, you actually feel really bad. Same as passive. You don't feel good about yourself. You feel alone, and you feel like people don't like you. Like, why don't I have any friends? People are avoiding me. I'm not really aggressive people are very lonely people. They actually don't have very many people around them. How do other people see you? A loudmouth, a troublemaker, and immature, yeah? But when you look at how that differs with assertiveness, the first thing you'll see here is different. You feel good. You feel like you're honest, that people respect you, and you don't feel bad. If you feel bad on the inside, you're either being passive or aggressive. When you feel like you've asserted yourself correctly, in the correct manner, you actually feel quite positive about yourself, empowered. People say, hey, I felt empowered after doing that. It's because you're asserting yourself in the right way. You're being assertive when you stand up for what's best for you. You make sure that other people understand what you need. And it's not just what's best for you, but stand up for what's best for other people too. So you're being assertive. By being assertive is saying, hey, kids, normally let you go out of my room until that there's someone here who's responsible. This is assertiveness. Aggression would be, I don't want to do that, do it yourself, I'm not bothered. But you'll feel bad, something bad happens to that child. So asserting yourself can come in many different forms. That you respect other people's rights and ideas and you listen to other people's, but you're also able to express your own feelings. I'll tell you about myself, dare anyone tell me what to think. I know what I'm looking for. But you also have the right to think whatever you want. That's okay. Just don't impose it on me. It's being assertive. I'm not telling you to, let's say, have a conversation with someone who's Hindu. I'm not telling you not to be a Hindu. You're welcome. Please do the best you can in the religion that you have. You don't impose your ideas on me. I'm not interested. It's being assertive. Surah Al-Kafirun is assertion. Allah is asserting. Be assertive. Yeah, don't be passive and say, okay, you know what happened in India, we have Deen Ilahi, everyone is one and we'll all be together. No. This is being very passive. So even in our faith teaches us to be assertive. Assert yourselves correctly. And other people start seeing you as an adult, not as a child, not someone who's incapable. You're seen as someone who's able to make decisions. You're able to do things. People will see you as an able human being. And that you're someone who's independent, but also honest. Very good qualities to have in a workplace environment. Good qualities to have in your home. Because sometimes we as mothers we run ourselves down. Yeah? Assertion is always good. This is where we want to be. So just a few quick examples. Mary goes to work each day and enjoys the time to herself when she gets home. Nearly every afternoon her neighbour who stays home all day pops in for a cup of tea. Mary does not want this to continue, but how can she tell her neighbour? So this old lady who has no one, she sees you at the end of the day. Every day she comes in to have a cup of tea. But actually you're too tired for it every day. You know, I don't have to tell her because she's so nice and she's been alone all day and I feel bad. Right? So a passive person will say, okay, come on in, I'll put the kettle on. Right? Because you don't know how to say no. This is actually another part of training, how to say no. It requires a couple of hours on its own. An aggressive person would say, hey, just stop coming over, please, because I need time to myself. You're driving me crazy, right? It's aggression. Both, not good. Because in one, what have you done?
Putting pressure on yourself.
You feel worse. You feel bad. You feel tired. It's too much. But you don't want to say, you don't want to say no, right? An assertive way would be actually to say, I actually really enjoy having tea with you, but I need time to myself. Do you mind if we arrange it for this time? This way both people win. Yeah? And you haven't made that person feel bad for coming over. It's actually how we use our words. You can do training on this. How do we utilize our words effectively? I want to get through this quickly.
I will come to your house.
I mean, these are ways. I would say if that response is quite a passive aggressive response, say, yeah, no, please don't come to my house. But
you can't say it.
You can't say it. We have to say things nicely, constructively. How the Quran teaches us.
Reschedule.
Yeah. So, for example, you're waiting at the customer service desk at Tesco. You've been there for ages. Now it's your turn. Someone comes and says, hey, I've got a question. And you're like, what do I do? A passive person will say, okay, then go ahead, because you don't know how to say, hold on. An aggressive person would be aggressive and say, back off me. An assertive way would be, actually, I've been waiting quite some time. I've got a very quick question, then you can go ahead. You've not been rude. not been aggressive. But you've held your ground and said, no, this isn't. I want to go through this and take time, but we don't have time yet. So read through these. If you're saying things, but this is not my style, it's not who I am, I'm not assertive, I need to be assertive. If you feel like you're not assertive, you will be one of these, right? A nice lady. Oh, she's so nice. Always nice. So nice. But you're afraid to do or say anything that might offend anyone else, especially colleagues and friends, because they will call you other names instead of nice. This need to have everyone think you're nice is not correct. Not everyone thought the product he's running was nice. Huh? Okay? You need to do what you need to do. A whiner, constantly whining and whinging. You're not getting this, and this is not happening, and this is not happening, and this is so bad, and this is so bad. I'm always whining. What are you actually doing? Nothing. Someone who's a clinging whine will cling to the person, oh, Khala's quite cool, she always said what she wants, so I'll just stand behind Khala and let Khala talk for me, yeah? But you don't do anything on your behalf. I'll expect her to stand up for me every single time. This is also wrong. A silent victim. Nothing I can do about it, so I'll just be a martyr. Okay. Seriously, I mean, I see myself in a lot of these. But when we verbalize it, it's actually, it's scary, but also quite empowering. Or are you the fairy princess? I deserve everything to come to me. I'll just be the fairy. I'll sit in my castle and things will be done and I'll just benefit, yeah? We also have people like this. Then there's a waiter waits around for a miracle to happen, right? For something someone promised who waits and waits and waits for someone else to do something, yeah? Don't be the waiter. Don't be the waiter, right? We need to be assertive.
She said she would do it, so she'll do it.
So then how do we become more assertive? It's finding strategies to find out how do I stop waiting and start getting tangible results. A bombshell who fires angry missiles all the time, constant barraging of it's angry all the time, yeah? And then the scaredy cat. Oh, well, what if I make trouble, what will they think of me? If I say this, what will happen? So you're kind of like shaking your boots a little bit. And then there'll be the appeaser, so the person that compromises all the time. It's okay. Yeah, we'll just do it this way. It's okay. We'll do it this way. It's okay. Because if you ask for too much, they won't give me anything. This is your view. If I ask, they're not going to give it to me anyway, so I'll just go along with what everyone is saying. And then lastly, the sellout or the self-advocate, yeah? This person will make deals for themselves to get what they need and pressures other people not to rock the boat. As long as number one is getting what he or she needs, life is good. So there was excerpts around this I have no time to do, but it would have been good to do it. But just very quickly, you have 5 minutes. Have a read at these and how would you react? So your best friend has asked you to fill her job application. She shows you what she's written so far. It is scruffy with lots of spelling mistakes. How would you react to that? I'll tell you how I would react. I'll be like, okay, give it to me. I'll sit down. I'll help you edit it. I will point out everything that's wrong, and then it's up to you whether you want to change it or not change it, right? I still ultimately think what I've written is better, but it's still up to them to change water. So that's kind of my way of dealing with it. You have an arrangement with your husband, son or daughter that he or she will wash up every other night. However, he or she really does this, and when you ask him or her, I obviously wasn't paying attention, that's fine with my writing. He is going to do it tonight. He becomes aggressive and accuses you of nagging. So how do I select?
Dishwasher.
Yeah. So my natural reaction would be to cover and say, oh, okay. Like I said, we're all different in different environments. At work I'm different, at home I'm different. I'll say, okay then, and then it just, goes on the inside and you go, so how would you react? Your boss comes to you at 5:45. So Caitlin comes to me and asks me if I was there another 20 minutes late. So I would help her complete an important piece of work, but I've got plans to go out for dinner that night. How do I react? So the reason why I'm putting these out there is, from all the training that we're supposed to have done up until now, we didn't get through some of it. You need to now start imagining these real life situations and how you would find constructive ways to be more assertive. Yeah. And then this was one I want to spend time on, but I think we might do this together with everyone because there's no time now. Okay. So have a read. Maybe we'll do this next time, inshallah. I want to spend time on this, but we have zero time now. So this is actually taking situations that have happened to you personally and trying to figure out how you would do it differently the next time, and trying to give you some tools to empower you to actually do it. So this training is not just like a theoretical, hey, Maya was talking when I went home, but actually how would I make that change? How would I implement that the next time something happens? The next time a child speaks to me very rudely, do I become like, oh my God, I can't believe you just said that to me? Or do I assert myself, and how do I cope with that? You know, or like for me is, well, actually don't be that aggressive. There was a child who said something and I became quite aggressive, not in a vocal way, but I think you all remember this. There was a boy that said, but you don't even own anything here.
Yeah.
Right? To which I said, actually I do. I own your chair, I own your table, I own everything in this room. This TV is mine. So the next time you want to say, you just remember that. You can sit here or you can go out the room. And he was stunned into silence. So my response was actually very passive-aggressive. More aggressive than passive. I wasn't shouting, I wasn't arguing. My body language was this, but I made my point. You want to go there? No, you can't. This is where it ends. Yeah? So in these situations, how would I react differently? What would I do differently? These are all the things that we couldn't cover today that I wanted to do for next time, but we have to do a chunk of what we did today next time as well. But these are all really important in understanding how to be assertive, how to recognize when you're being aggressive or when you're being passive, and how do we actually make those mental shifts to physically change our behaviour or change the way that we speak. And the last thing was, when you do start becoming assertive, things usually get worse before they get better. So if you're usually in your class quite demure, quite kind of laid back and chilled out and not really, at all, in control, and all of a sudden you try to do that, what's going to happen? The kids are going to push back. And they're going to go ahead with you. And this is true in any relationship. When you're in a relationship where one person has always got more power than you, and you try and push back, that person will try and push back on you to keep you where you were, okay? Mm-hmm. So, why does these things happen? So, for example, you have a co-worker who constantly gives you some of his own work to do. One day you tell him that your own workload is more than enough and you don't want to do it, right? Usually you would say yes. And one day you say, no, hey, why is she saying no? And then he'll try, Faisal will try and give you more. He'll say, no, actually, can you just do it? And you're like, okay then. What's just happened there? You've tried to push back, but then you gave in, right? So look, if I ever tell you what I will or won't do, get really pushy and I'll give in. So at this point, your boss, I said, no, actually, Caitlin, I don't want you to do it. And you say, okay. Because the other person pushed back. And I said, it's not a conscious thing, but it's just what happens. If you're always doing something and then you try and push back and say, I'm not going to do it, I'm like, no, actually, I'm going to see how far I can go. So holding your breath, it's not easy. It actually starts sending a really bad message because you can't stick to your own rule. So this is one of the reasons why things go bad when you try and be assertive. Or for example, this is one that we all know, your child, right, will not go to sleep, wants to watch TV, for example. And you say to them that if you're not in bed by your bedtime, I will turn the television off and you will not be able to watch TV the next night. What happens the next night if you don't follow through?
Push.
They push, and then you give in, and then what?
They will never take it seriously. Take the TV to
the child at this point knows that I'm the boss. I am boss, because I only have to push mom a little bit and she'll give in. The same with FLA kids.
Yes.
The minute you start giving in and thinking it's okay for someone to be rude to you and you not respond to that, and you don't call it out each and every time, that child will know, I can do it. Sometimes it is tedious. Like my own experience, it took the first 2 lessons of my stage 4 for them to get it. So we weren't learning anything. I'm like, no.
That's the key, I think, the most important thing that we've been trying to tell to each and every new teacher.
Very frustrating.
But they want to go and do their mistake themselves, meaning if you have no prior actual time with the kids, you would think, oh, I'm going to be this little perfect teacher who's going to go in and be nice and smiley, and then the kids, the first time they might, check, okay, she's nice, but then they start pushing.
You first.
They will start pushing, and you will. It's so much harder than to come back later. You have to be. I would say to new teachers, you have to be more strict and more, severe the first time, and then maybe be nice later once the boundaries have been established. But you need to do that, otherwise you're just.
Like, remember one thing ages ago my mum said to me, I was struggling with I had 2 then. I was like, Mom, it's so hard to keep them happy. Mum's like, who told you your job is to make your children happy? I was like, isn't that what you're meant to do? She's like, no. I said, what do you mean? Because your job is not to keep them happy all the time.
She's called vitamin no, Kids need vitamin no.
Like, happiness comes from knowing that you have everything you need and that my parent loves me. It doesn't mean I spend 24/7 sitting with you gazing into your eyes, to make you happy, to give you this toy and that toy and do this activity and that. That's not my job. It's also not your job as teachers to make those children happy. It's not your job.
Can I please address something here? I would love you to put a rule for that. Like giving gifts for kids for reason and no reason. Like they're spoiling them. One time the kids in the class, I finished that surah. Will you give me a present? I said, you give me a present. I taught you the surah.
Yeah, exactly.
They're giving them with reason and no reason. But they're spoiling them. They think they're learning for the presents.
Can you
put a rule for that? Yeah, exactly. They're spoiling the kids.
I think,
kids' habits.
I think incentivization needs to be understood in terms of what that's meant to be. Incentivizing children or motivating someone, like if I say to you, if you do this and this, by the end of the year, you're looking at 5 to 10% bonus, right? That's an incentive for you to get better. So incentivizing children is a good thing, but you're right, on everything, I did this now, I'm so good. No, actually, you're not that amazing.
No, it's like, for example, to give a prize for a kid that he kept silent in the lesson. We shouldn't do that because you have to do, that's normal. We can give a prize or give a merit or for something that's extra hard for them. Like you see that they've done extra.
Something
extra. Yes.
Yeah. No,
but not
work here.
I didn't make any noise today, so can I
I learned my surah. I wrote my homework. You're supposed to do that. I'm not supposed to reward you for that.
Okay, so maybe that's something you can address later. So just to end off, some guidelines only set barriers that you're willing and able to defend, right? If you say to your child something that you can't actually do in class, don't say it. Because it's sending the worst, most negative message possible. Don't start getting assertive and restrained to the limit, right? So, any relationship, so this is quite general. If you're in a place that's quite strained, if you've got a lot of work going on, say for example in FLA in your class there's a lot going on, your assertiveness cannot overtake the work that you have to do. And drawing the line between what's assertive and what's aggressive is very important. Because in your aim to be assertive, you can actually become quite aggressive. Yeah? So when you're strained, be wary of that.